Hi everyone. So I found a news article that I thought I would share with you all. The story concerns a guy called Oscar Pistorius. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not. A South African who has been chosen to compete at this month's World Athletic Championships in South Korea. Now, what's so unusual about this, you may ask? Well, Oscar was born without any calf bones, and his lower legs were amputated when he was 11 months old. He has competed in the Paralympics using a pair of carbon fibre lower legs that have given rise to his new nickname, Blade Runner. That is a damn cool nickname, by the way. As you can imagine, this has brought up a lot of controversy over whether he, or indeed any disabled athlete, should be allowed in able-bodied athletic events. This could be a turning point for people like Oscar, as this could mean he will be chosen, or at least will try to compete at the London Olympics next year in 2012. Now, the main question I think we should ask is this: should differently abled people be allowed to compete in able-bodied athletic competitions? It's a complicated issue. The Paralympic Games themselves state on their website that, quote, "Today the Paralympics are elite sporting events for athletes with a disability." So if we're at a point now where disabled people are allowed to compete in the Olympics, then is there really a point of the Paralympics? If Oscar is allowed to participate in the 2012 Olympics, they are basically placing him above all other Paralympic competitors and saying that he is better than every other disabled athlete, so he is allowed to compete with other able-bodied athletes. I don't think that is the message that the Paralympics want to convey. If the people in charge allow Oscar to compete as a disabled athlete yet don't allow other disabled athletes into the Olympics, then they're hypocrites, plain and simple. I thought the point of the Paralympics was to show that disabled people can still be exceptional athletes, and to break down the stigma that people have about disabled people, whether mentally or physically, and to raise awareness. By blurring the line over who is and who isn't allowed in the Olympics, and what disability is or isn't allowed, you're only going to antagonize other disabled athletes who will probably feel slighted because for some reason this guy is picked to enter the Olympics and they aren't. And it probably won't do much for their self-confidence either. Forgive the pun, but disabled athletes have more hurdles to jump in order to get to the peak of their own physical fitness. And so to allow this guy into the Olympics is an insult to them, I feel. Now, personally, I don't think he should be allowed to compete in the Olympics. It's not his fault he was born that way, but by using apparatus that has been carefully designed to help his performance, it will make him run differently than if he hadn't had his legs amputated, whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage. To me, anyway, I know there's a shit ton of corruption involved with the Olympics, but one of the reasons why I watch them whenever they're on, is because it's supposed to be the best athletes in the world using nothing more than hard work, talent and determination to try and be the best in the world. It's supposed to be a contest with what someone can do with their own body, how people can work with what they were born with to achieve their goals, to push the limits of human speed and strength to win. Using any artificial apparatus should not be allowed. That's why performance enhancing drugs are banned. Now, I know that nobody is going to be built exactly the same as someone else and have the same mind, so you could actually say that the winner will always be the one with the most natural talent. But that's not all you need. You also need a strong will and a hard work ethic. That's how, even though one runner may have more natural talent than the other runner could have worked harder and be more determined and so could win, even though they may not be as naturally talented. By the way, I don't know how to define natural talent. I guess it's something like somebody who's good at a certain skill or an event before actually learning how to do that skill and event to the best of their abilities. But if Oscar is allowed to compete in the Olympics, that's fine. Just don't be hypocrites about it, and just have one big Olympic Games for everyone, regardless of disability, age, mental capacity, etc. It may seem unfair to group people off, but it's what we do. Like it or not, different groups of people have different levels of abilities and skills. That's why there are also senior games where people over a certain age can compete for medals. Generally speaking, of course, men are bigger and stronger, and so can generally, I'm just going to keep saying generally so I don't get called, sexist or anything. Men can generally run faster, throw farther than say women. In fact, I can't off the top of my head think of a world record where the women's event is actually better than the men's. Now, that's not to say that all male athletes are automatically superior to their female counterparts, although there aren't female athletes that couldn't win against men. But generally speaking, a lot of women wouldn't get a look in at any Olympic medals because they would be outperformed by the male athletes. This is, of course, if there was just no sex divisions in the Olympics. And that's also the case with a lot of disabled athletes. By having an Olympics for disabled athletes, it also gives them more of a chance to win and to show the world that you can still be exceptionally talented and have a physical or mental disability. The Olympics is about what you can do with your own flesh and blood. If you're using additional artificial body parts to compete, I'm sorry, but you should compete with others who have disabilities. It's not fair that you were dealt that hand, but that's life. Plus, it just makes things easier, really. Let's group the men together and see who's the best. Group all the women together and see who's the best. Maybe there could be some sort of final where they have the best men, women, and differently abled people for one big race. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I also don't want people thinking that I'm adverse to mixed sex sports. For example, football. I wouldn't mind if women started playing in the English Premiership because for the fact that it's not the men's Premiership. Yes, there is a women's Premiership, but I don't believe there are any rules saying that a woman can't play for a Premiership team. It's not about the best male team. It's just about the best team for me. And if a woman wants to play, then I don't see a problem with it. I don't see football as an exclusively male sport, just a sport that is dominated by men. Now, the Women's Premiership may have been set up because of that, and to give women who love playing football a chance to play it nationally. But I wouldn't have a problem at all if Premiership teams started to sign up women. I know there are people that could bring up problems with my position, specifically hypothetical questions like, what about in the future if someone competes with, say, an arm or a leg that was grafted onto them? I know we don't have that technology right now, but in the future. It's a natural body part, but it's not one that they were born with. I know there are questions such as that, and I honestly don't know the answer. It will take more thinking and more time to finalise my opinion over this, but this is where it stands right now. Cheerio!